Okay, so we got turn 4 done here. Um, and again, not a whole heck of a lot going on. We'll start over in the Pacific this time. So the Japanese still haven't launched any attacks into China. Kind of just maybe waiting on a little bit and letting the communists and the nationals beat up on each other some, and maybe swoop in when both of them are kind of weakened to the point of being able to offer little to no resistance. Japan did finish off a major factory, and they put that in Tokyo, so that's their second one there. So now those two factories can produce a total of 10 units right now. So that's pretty good for Japan. And then they went ahead and bought 2 more Marines, put them down there with the other 4 they had. So now they got a total of 6 Marines ready to be loaded up onto transports, head down into the South Pacific when the time comes. That was about it for the Japanese. Both the Far East Command and ANZAC, and actually the U.S., all 3 of them spent $2, and they each upgraded one of their militia to a regular infantry, and that was really about it. Not a lot for either of those 3 countries to do in the Pacific. Russia, nothing at all, no movement out in the Far East. As far as the battle in China goes, the Communist Chinese actually for the first turn didn't get a successful roll. They had, I believe, 4 territories to start, and they actually spent $4 on increasing the roll up to an 8 and still didn't roll to 10. So they, for the first time in the game, they couldn't influence a warlord to come over to their side. So they did move into this vacant national Chinese territory. So they're holding on to 6 total territories right now at the end of turn 4 here. The national Chinese just basically built 3 infantry and a militia, trying to beef up some defenses here. It looks like it's going to probably be getting pretty close here to when a decision one way or the other is going to be made, depending on if the Communist Chinese can get this last warlord influenced over to their side. That'll probably tilt the balance in the Communist Chinese favor, where I'm not sure the National Chinese will be able to come back from that. The Communist Chinese did come up and take this northern territory back. The one lone National Chinese infantry did put up a fight. He took out a militia he took out a regular infantry and a mountain troop before he perished in a valiant defensive effort of that territory. That's about it in the Pacific. Over in Europe, really even less action going on now that the Spanish Civil War is complete. No combat at all. The Axis powers, Germany again, a couple of men, a light armor, and I think 3 more artillery. So the Germans have quite an offensive punch on the Western Front here. That's probably about 10 artillery, about 8 light armor, and about 10 infantry, and now they've moved 3 fighters to Western Germany as well, all ready to pounce on France when the time comes. That was about it for Germany. The Italians, they finished off a major factory, and that's now in northern Italy, so they now have 2 factories up there, 2 major factories. They also upgraded 1 militia and then saved a couple of bucks. The Allies, the British went ahead and they bought 2 infantry and upgraded 1 militia, so now they have 4 infantry in London. Just in case they need to come over, they've already had 2 transports over here in this fleet south of Ireland. So they're in a position to pick up those guys and take them to the continent if the French need that backup. Besides that, not really a lot for the British. The French, they bought 3 infantry this turn and put them in Paris. So if the border territory with Germany falls, Paris still has a decent defensive force right now. to hopefully repel the Germans if they do break through the border there. The United States did nothing on the European side of the map. No movement, no purchases. The Comintern, the Russians spent all their money this turn, and they built 4 artillery that they put in the major factory in Leningrad. So now you've got, on top of all the men, a couple of tanks, the planes, and the mechs that were already bordering Finland, you now got 4 artillery. So even if the Russians don't put another dime into the potential force to invade Finland with, that should be more than sufficient to take out the Finns. And that was basically about it in Europe. So not a whole heck of a lot going on. As far as technology goes, the U.S., I think, got 3 of their 4 rolls. So they are in the lead here in terms of technology. They've got 4 technologies that are at stage 2 right now, followed by the Russians with 3 and the Germans with 3. So the Axis continue to fall a little bit further behind in terms of the technology race. The incomes pretty much stayed the same, a little bit of fluctuation between the national and the communist Chinese, and that was pretty much it. So we're heading into turn number 5, which is going to be July 1938. So that's the turn that Germany can now start purchasing medium armor. They get a little bit of a jump start on that compared to the rest of the nations in the game. So I can see the Germans spending money on that now. And I'm expecting the conflict to kick off in full, if not this turn, then probably the following turn.